Welcome to another edition of the Huddle. I'm Vahe Gregorian. On my left is Sam Mellinger. Let's talk Royals. So Sam, the Royals tonight will have Kris Medlen pitching, and I've gone back and forth a little bit about whether this is the big solution or not that they need. But the fact is, no matter what, it's worth priming the pump and seeing what he's got, especially with so many other things uncertain, and also not much else to do in the last few weeks of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all those are perfect points. Like the last 40 games of this season mean nothing other than getting the team as strong as it can be for the first game of the division series. And Jeremy Guthrie is not going to be in a playoff rotation.
Right.
Probably not going to be on the playoff roster, I would think. So why not? If Kris Medlen is ready to at least maybe be a guy that can get you 4, 5, 6 innings in a playoff start, then they have to do it. And he's way more talented. He's got way better stuff than Guthrie does at this point in their prospective careers. So if he can help him out a little bit, yeah, and I think it could be important. I mean, what happens tonight is only an indication.
Right.
But I'm really interested.
But this gives them a chance to get him 4 or 5 starts and just sort of really see. And even if it weren't about this season, for Medlen's future, it's probably a good idea. Medlen and the Royals' future, I mean, they'll want him and need him next year. So let's get him going. How much do you feel like we have any real notion of what's beyond Volquez and Cueto, of course, in the rotation in the playoffs? What are we thinking is going to happen with Danny Duffy and Ventura? I mean, I assume that one way or another that would be the preferred. If they're the guys that they want them to be, that's the preferred third, maybe fourth.
Yeah. I mean, the ideal scenario is that Duffy is the guy that he was last year before he started battling that injury in September, October, and that Yordano Ventura is Game 6 of the World Series.
Right.
Yordano Ventura. But basically, it's those 3 guys for 2 spots. And Medlen is pitching out of the pen right now. I think that would be great, because then you need 5 innings, maybe even just 4 from one of those guys. You have Medlen in the 5th, Madsen in the 6th, Herrera, Davis, Holland, if he gets fixed, which is another thing they need to work on over the last 40 games. So I think that nobody knows. I mean, I think you feel good about those first 2 spots. And then Ventura has been good 2 times in a row, right? Yeah,
3 out of the last 4 maybe, or 2 in a row though.
Yeah, and I've always thought, not to get too nerdy about it, but I've always thought over the weekend when he pitched against the Red Sox, his curveball was great. I've always thought that's the big thing with him. We always talk about his fastball, but to me, when his off-speed stuff is good, it makes his fastball a lot better. I would guess, my whole guess right now is that Medlen instead of Duffy, but that's just because of, it's probably a recency bias. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, well, I've really liked where Duffy's been since he came off the disabled list. I think it was just his last start, and there was maybe one other a little wobbly, but other than that, I've sort of thought he's been that guy that we saw for a lot of last summer. The X factor with Duffy is we've never seen him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that remains unknown too. So, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But do you think, one last thing on the Royals, and then we'll let people have their lives back. But is there any disadvantage at all to having a 33-game lead here, or whatever it is they have now? I mean, is it a problem in some way?
I don't know. It's a problem if they lose the division series, and it's being well rested if they go to the World Series. Right? Actually, we had a conversation about this with somebody in the Royals front office last week, and he was saying it depends on the specific team. And there's some teams that need to stay sharp and need that every day, and there's some teams that can sort of go back and get lazy. And I don't know if we're projecting, you kind of want to see what you want to see or whatever, but I think that it's entirely possible that last year that team needed that push.
Mm-hmm.
And it sure seemed, the way that everything worked out, that they really rode that, especially from the wild card game through the Angels and the Orioles into the World Series. And I think this team, if you watch them play, because the danger is a team getting lazy, a team getting complacent. And if you watch them play, I don't see that at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know that they're not playing the best teams or whatever, but I don't see that at all. And to me, that's what you look for. Are they getting lazy? Are they getting, are they playing like these games don't matter? And I don't see that at all.
I don't either, and it's kind of interesting. That circles me back to remember when we were all having our preseason meetings in this very office, talking about themes for the season. What are they too full of themselves now? Are they going to be complacent and they come out whatever they were 7-0 and it was like it was November just following October, the energy, and I wondered if they could sustain that. But I think you're exactly right. They play like every game means something.
Yeah.
Like every game means a lot, and that seems to be hardwired into them at this stage. So I don't think there'll be any reason to think that this was problematic unless exactly what you said happens.
Yeah.
They're well rested and they lose the first series.
Well, here, I'm sorry I interrupt you, but this is just a coincidence of timing. But we're talking about this the day after they come back twice. Right. And I think if there was a lazy team that was happy being, I think they were 12.5 up going into that game, 5 or 6 up on the Yankees for the best record in the American. If it was a team that was like, what does this game really mean? They don't, they don't do that in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're playing any differently.
Yeah, and presumably, hopefully for their sake and the fans of Kansas City, there's a little muscle memory and mental memory that comes with this. They keep finding ways to win. That's still who they are.
Yep.
So. All right, I'm sure we've gone overtime even on our second take here, but keep checking us out on kansascity.com, True Blue Royals app, Red Zone Extra Chiefs app, and Extra Time Sporting KC app. That's 5 fingers I'm holding up. That was only 4 things.
We also print a newspaper still.
And the Kansas City Star newspaper, best of all, when it's nestled into the Star. Thanks for being with us.